Well, hello there, motherfuckers, and welcome to your SmackDown review. So, on Raw, they completely threw a storyline out the window with Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. Total disregard for, anything that would have remotely been interesting leading up to SummerSlam. So here you go. Here's the last show before SummerSlam, the go home show, the go home show anyway for SmackDown. So we started off with Charlotte and Becky Lynch in a promo with the Carmella. Just, nothing really happened here. We got pretty much the recycled lines from Carmella. It's, you really feel when you watch a segment like this where they're running out of ideas. Becky says that, she puts over Charlotte, and I don't know what it is. This little relationship they're having with Becky and Charlotte is just so damn corny. It's like every time they show them backstage, it's like they're going through the motions. It's like they're acting, not like two friends hanging out. It's like two friends being forced to hang out together against their will. Like it's almost like a sentence by a judge. Like you're being punished by having to hang out with this other person. So, I don't know what the deal is. I guess, maybe Ellsworth will appear at the pay-per-view. I can't see them bringing the guy back just to take him away from TV again, but who the fuck knows really with this company. It could go either way, to be quite honest. So then we had a match with Charlotte and Becky defeating Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose. Another team, it's like they're there. I don't get this. So they make sure that Corey Graves has an orgasm every single time Mandy Rose comes out, but they're not going to put the effort into actually making her anything special or seem special in any way. Losing again here. She's the one that eats the pin, and so maybe we're talking about her in terms of beauty. But here's also the other thing, what I'm very surprised about when it comes to this. Isn't like Corey Graves supposed to be the voice of the internet fan? So, the voice of the internet is like Ryan Satin, for example. Always being a social justice warrior, always saying we must respect women at all costs, right? So, God forbid we say, a female wrestler is beautiful or anything like that. Aren't we headed towards the WWE Evolution pay-per-view? We no longer have to degrade ourselves by being in bra and panty matches. So, it's all about respecting women now, and we could only look at these women as athletes, but then again, you've got Carmella talk, interesting thing though, which I didn't even note about the promo, and I'll get back to my point here in a minute because it is related. Carmella talked about how she is a diva, and they made like Carmella and Becky recall, like, oh, said diva, oh my god, like, you're not allowed to be a diva. Diva indicates a dark time in WWE. Needless to say that, we always talk about, though WWE always talks about how, great role models Trish Stratus and Lita were. Well, they were divas. Now to be a diva is supposed to be like a low class, something that should be shunned from the vocabulary forever. But interesting how Carmella actually talked about how she was proud of considering herself a diva, and how she, she said that she has a better body than Charlotte and everything. It was funny how, that's been a while since I ever even heard a female wrestler refer to her own body, sexualizing it. Like, oh my goodness, this is taboo, right? Now, I don't know if they're doing this as a ploy, where they're kind of trying to, in a way, say and apologize to the internet fans. Oh, we know you want like Asuka to be like the women's champ, but we're gonna, Carmella might be the champ now, but we're gonna have her acknowledge that she's not as good as the others, in a strange, weird way. You know, is this supposed to be a way of her getting heel heat by referring to herself as a diva? Because I'll tell you something. I don't think most people who watch this show are like SJWs and like really get super offended every time, you know, they hear somebody refer to a woman's wrestler as a diva, or, you know, or say that they're beautiful. So the thing is, what I'm trying to say, if we're trying to like get that out of the vocabulary when it comes to WWE and women's wrestling, especially headed into this big, humongous, super spectacular WWE Evolution pay-per-view, then why are we having Corey Graves drooling over? Isn't that like supposed to be sexist or something like that? And, you know, he's being like a pig. You know, I don't know what the perspective is supposed to be here. Since that's like a popular thing nowadays, I would think that, you know, that type of mindset, social justice warrior and all that, I would think that, you know, WWE would probably try to appeal to that, because, you know, that's what people like. And you take a look at some of the fans out there, and you see a bunch of people that you could definitely peg as a SJW just by looking at them. So, you know, there's enough talk about that. But that, you know, that's the mindset. You know, I hate social justice warriors, and I hate any time that they even try to get into this. You know, keep the wrestling out of it. It's just sad that a lot of these internet fans, the ones that are ruining this product to a certain degree, they're not doing it themselves. You know, the WWE is the only ones really to blame, because they're the ones who approve all the decisions that they make, and they're the ones putting it out at the end of the day. So, you know, I'm just a little bit confused about what the mindset is really, and what they were trying to do here by having Carmella say diva. And that's like supposed to be a bad word that recoils like the women, you know, the women. Remember, it's the women's championship, not the Divas championship. You know, but I don't get it. It's like, is it two separate belts? I don't know. You know, this is something that I've thought about for a while since then. Like, you know, the Divas championship, is it the same belt as the one that's on Raw? You know, I don't even know. You know, is that the same belt that Trish held, or is that a different belt? Is that a different women's title? Or, you know, is it different in the Divas Championship? I don't know. We've had so many switches. We have the women's title, a Divas title, and a women's title again. I don't know. The Bludgeon Brothers defeated, well, they didn't really defeat them. They just beat up 3 jobbers, and then it just sort of ended. Great promotion for this pay-per-view, I guess. Daniel Bryan and The Miz, they had 3 segments of video packages, and I have to say something, folks. These were fucking awesome. This was great. Okay, I actually didn't mind them not being on the show. Now, that would have been a bit of a touch, and you could argue the point, well, Brad, don't you always say that video packages are a bit lazy, that they're an excuse for them not to be there? But I'll say that this was very well done, because based on what we saw, the build-up with the babies, okay, Daniel Bryan coming to attack him at the studio was a lot better. But, you know, I talked about when they had the big Cass feud, that Daniel Bryan should be involved in something a lot better. And The Miz brought up a really, you know, good point in one of these little video packages. Daniel Bryan hasn't done anything since his return, and you goddamn right he hasn't. Since returning, you know, this was supposed to be a big thing. You know, Daniel Bryan came back at WrestleMania. We thought they were going to throw him into the feud with The Miz. Big feud there, finally get the payoff to that, and probably then return Bryan to prominence back in the main event scene. Now, you know, that hasn't happened. It's just kind of been mid-card Bryan. Meanwhile, you've got the Nakamurphys of the world and AJ Styles boring the ever-loving shit out of us in the main event. You know, for SmackDown anyway, because when it's on the pay-per-view, AJ doesn't even get close to the main event. He's like in the middle of the show. So Daniel Bryan, meanwhile, is like 10 times more over, yet he's like stuck in the mid-card. But, you know, this has been way better. And they keep going, you know what I love? They keep going back to talking smack. When they finally let the wrestlers like cut loose and do something off the script with talking smack, which by the way they took off the network, which was like it was at one time it was more over than the actual show. which is pretty sad at the same time. But, you know, they go back to it because it was like the one good thing. And they keep, you know, instead of creating more moments and trying to build off of that, they just keep saying, oh, remember that time we had a good Talking Smack? You know, which is a canceled show, by the way. It's like ridiculous. But they did a good job of presenting everything from NXT back in 2010 to the present day time. So they did a good job building up to the match at SummerSlam. So I'll give them that. And it was a very good video package. Great editing. Great presentation. This is like a video package that you look at and you say, well, this is why WWE is the top wrestling organization. You know, because they have these production values. I mean, you look at this video, and this is like just something that no one would ever be able to put together by themselves. Excellently edited. You know, everything was in the right spot to hold your interest. It was a very well done 3-part series. Best part of the show. Best part of all the programming, actually. Better than any fucking thing I saw on Raw as well. The New Day defeated Sanity. The Bludgeon Brothers are nowhere in sight, even though that's their opponents. You know, but by all means, let's just job out Sanity again. What is the deal here? How does McMahon, how does creative not look at Sanity? And doesn't anybody speak up about this? You know, we brought Sanity onto the main roster. They have yet to have a pay-per-view match, pre-show match they've had. They have yet to really do anything significant. They have yet to cut any memorable or just really any promos. They have like one backstage promo that I believe. And they've just lost almost every single match. They've only won one match. They lost their debut match, for God's sakes. What does that tell you? When you lose your debut match, it doesn't really say a lot about you. And you know, unless you're like, unless you're like John Cena or somebody, and you've really like, you know, you just get that exception where it's okay for you to lose, but not when you're like Eric Young and you're like this 15-year veteran. You know, you come in and also, you know, Killian Dane already picked up. You know, they just have Big E pick him up. And okay, it's Big E, but shouldn't there be a bit more build-up to like Killian Dane being like picked up like a child? You know, wasn't he more protected in NXT? Here they're just like picking him up and, you know, boom, he gets hit with the up down maneuver, and that's it. He's beat like a sack of garbage. You know, they pick up the big 350-pound guy like a child, and you know they barely even put that over. Oh, they picked up Killian, but you know it's like this should have been a thing. Like, you know, Big E might have had I understand that Big E could bench a lot and he's a powerlifter, but you know, be like Cena at least when you would go to pick up the Big Show. At least they'd like toy around with it first. Oh, he hurt his back. It's so much weight to lift up. Now it's just like, oh, you know what? Boom. Like a piece of shit, basically. Andrade Almas defeated Aiden English at the end. You know, Rusev and Lana cut a promo. Lana still can't figure out, you know, what accent she's going to go with this week. She does a little Russian. Then she goes back to talking like a Valley girl again. You know, I don't know, like what this is supposed to be. Why are we doing both? She's on Total Divas doing full Valley Girl, but on SmackDown, the wrestling show, it's like, you know, we have some weird kayfabe shoot type of thing going on here where it's like, you know, all of a sudden she's like Russian one moment, and I don't know if it's supposed to be funny. I don't know what they're doing. Like, it's stupid is what it is. It's dumb. It's like, who would, like, you know, book it this way other than these nutcases who are currently doing it? And it's going to be on the pre-show. So after all those weeks of build-up with 1,000 Lana versus Selena Vega matches, all these matches that we're not even going to get a payoff on the pay-per-view itself. It's going to be a pre-show match. So you dedicated all that TV time to a pre-show match. Well, you know, I guess you could say that the pre-show match maybe had better build than half of the main card shit. Jeff Hardy defeated Shelton Benjamin. Benjamin appears, after like 2-3 months absence. Shelton Benjamin's always dangerous. Shelton Benjamin always loses. What's the deal here? Does anybody remember that like Benjamin was pegged to be like one of the next big stars in the company? They even had him go over Triple H on one episode of Raw. You think back to the memorable Gold Rush tournament, when he got super kicked, off after leaping off the top rope. I mean, they were putting this guy over big time. And when he wasn't just, if he wasn't going over in the match, the announcers, JR, the King, they would put this guy over like crazy. Shelton Benjamin was somebody to watch. They bring him back, they were about to bring him back, and he got injured. And we were showing all these video packages. Then they put him with, what's his name? The American Alpha guy. Yeah, Chad Gable, there you go. Chad Gable. Chad Gable now doing nothing. Shelton Benjamin doing just the same. I thought that maybe at least breaking him away from Chad Gable, he'd be able to restore some of that former glory that he once showed back in the 2004, 2005 time. But I see that I was greatly wrong about that. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't. They're gonna fuck you up big time. It's why Matt Hardy's retiring. This company, they can't do anybody right. Everybody gets fucked over by this creative team, McMahon. Whatever happened to putting people over? Whatever happened to people having any sort of integrity on the show? It's all gone. It's all out the window. It's history. So Shelton Benjamin eats the pin here. Then Naka Murphy comes in, hits the Shinyaska, whatever the fuck it's called, on Jeff Hardy. Rest assured, folks, I'll never be able to pronounce that name properly, the name of that finishing move, the Shinyaska. Who the fuck even cares? It's called the wet noodle super kick, whatever. I don't know. But, Randy Orton is over there watching, from the entranceway. I don't know. He's just kind of standing there flirting with Jeff. I don't know. Maybe he thought that the lighting on this particular night brought out, the color in his eyes. I don't know. Maybe Jeff Hardy looked extra scrumptious to Randy, but the way he was looking at him, I mean, my God. Then it was Samoa Joe and AJ. And Joe's got a letter to read for AJ, and I don't know, who's supposed to have written this letter. I thought at first it was supposed to be his wife, but I don't think that it was. I don't even fucking know. Was it supposed to be his wife? Or from, a fan about AJ? But I believe it was a letter by someone in his family. I think it was the wife. And it's this letter saying, oh, you were right about AJ and all that. And, that's basically about it. They don't fight. They don't do anything. Samoa Joe reads a fucking letter. I would have found it more entertaining if you read the menu from Krispy Kreme, but, or go to, to Burger King and read the fucking menu from there. I mean, just get a fucking fold-out menu, or maybe the Titantron can convert into one of those digital McDonald's menus. I mean, it would be more entertaining than holding a fucking piece of paper and reading off of it in a monotone voice. This is what accounts for build-up nowadays? I mean, reading a fucking letter? I don't care if it's from his wife or whoever the hell it was from. This is boring. I'm supposed to sit here and be entertained by somebody reading off of a piece of paper. And, okay, so maybe that happens and then something else happens after that. But the something else never happens. And there's your show. That's how it ends. At least they had the decency on this show to end it with a world champion. Unlike Raw, where the world champion is opening up the third hour, and the Intercontinental Championship is in the main event slot. I don't know. Seriously, what am I supposed to say about a show like this? Am I supposed to lie and say I was entertained? Am I supposed to, just brutalize it and say that it absolutely sucked, I could take that route, and I pretty much did take the route through this video. I mean, it was trash. But the Daniel Bryan and Miz stuff was good. But I mean, we're talking about video packages. I'm watching this show, and all I could say is a video package. The video packages, the 3-part video packages with Daniel Bryan and The Miz were vastly superior to anything on this show and on Raw. And like, I'm supposed to be like these other fans and gloss over it and just be like, oh, well, it was a decent show. Like, what here was good? I mean, nothing on the show was good. I mean, what did we do? We buried Sanity again. We, had Shelton Benjamin jobbing out once more. Randy Orton, looking alluringly at Jeff Hardy. Some non-originality in the opening segment, just another bumbling, this is the type of build we're going to see headed into WWE Evolution, keep in mind, but I talked about in my video rant on that show. Don't expect a lot. People are saying it's going to be awesome. I see what they're saying in the comments, and it's good. Keep a positive attitude, but then again, keep a realist perspective as well. We all knew that the build to SummerSlam was going to suck. And boy, oh boy, did it ever do so. So, are we going to really sit here and say that WWE Evolution is going to be any different? Did I not say the same thing for WrestleMania? And sure enough, the build was trash. Anyway, folks, there you go. Anyway, subscribe to this channel. Click the bell. Watch all my other videos. And this has been your YWC Champ, signing out.